We were hired to organize this closet, but we couldn't quite reach it at first. Here's a glimpse of what the room looked like before. There wasn't much space to walk, so we had to start decluttering outside of the room in an area where we had enough space to stage everything. When we start a project, we need enough room for the client to sit comfortably and for us to move freely. We also need space for bins: keep, donate, trash, and recycling. I started by helping our client declutter, and once they got into a rhythm, we had them continue on their own using the bins we set up. Meanwhile, Stephanie and I started consolidating everything in the room. Every bag and bin had a mix of items like paper, clothes, backpack, and accessories, so we went through each one and grouped like items together. Besides consolidating like items, we also removed those bulky travel bags. Some were empty, others were holding just a handful of the same mix of items like paper, clothes, and cables. Unlike the rest of the containers, they weren't full, but the bags themselves were taking up a lot of space. So we opened each one to make sure nothing was left behind. Then we moved them out to a separate closet we had already designated for travel bags. We actually have a full video on that transformation. Similar to this one, it started out as a closet transformation but turned into a full room reset. I'll leave a link for you in the description. Since this was already the 5th room we organized for the client, we already knew certain items like travel bags, backpacks, and shoes were automatic keeps, so we set those aside. Clothes, paper, and accessories were things they wanted to review, so at this stage we just separated the categories into just clothes, just paper, and set them aside for our client. At the same time, we kept an eye on the client to make sure they are actively sorting. If they finished a box, we immediately had another one prepared, but one that was already pre-sorted. After a while, we gave our client a break, and Stephanie and I continued to sort through the items on our own. Our goal for the rest of the session was to go through each box, pull out the obvious keeps and move them to where they belonged, toss anything like empty packaging or expired items, and prep the next session. We prep the next session by setting aside everything that needs review, but already grouped by category. That way, during the next session, the process is much smoother for the client because they're left with fewer decisions to make. Once we had enough space to move freely, we emptied the closet to make room for the dresser. That alone freed up more space in the guest bedroom.
Okay. Awesome.
To wrap up this first session, we moved against the wall the boxes containing keep items, and we turned the couch into a designated place for boxes with items that need review. There was a lot more to do at this point, but it helped that the chaos was a little bit organized. This was session 2, and we started with focused decluttering. The biggest category were clothes, and our client was so good at letting things go. As I mentioned, this was part of a larger project, and session after session we left with a full carload of items. During this session, we made a lot of progress, partly because everything had already been pre-sorted. This is critical. Sorting through like items is faster and more effective because your brain can stay in one decision mode. When you're decluttering a single category, like just clothes or just paper, the criteria stay the same. For example, with paper, you might decide to toss anything older than 7 years. With clothes, you might focus on fit, how often you wear it, or how it makes you feel. Because the factors stay consistent, your mind adapts quickly and decisions become almost automatic. But when you mix items like paper and clothes and cables, your brain has to reset every time to recognize it's a different type of item, switch to a new set of decision criteria, then make the decision. That constant switching slows you down and increases mental effort. It also leads to inconsistency, and you may start changing your criteria without even realizing it. Then you end up keeping things you meant to let go of or discarding things you would have kept. Working by category removes that friction. You stay focused, make more consistent decisions, and get through more in less time. At one point, I gave our client a break so I could clear out the rest of the room. When I work with a room like this, my goal is to empty out the containers as quickly as possible, moving everything off the floor and open surfaces to places in the house where the client would naturally look for them. I always start with the floor, then move to open surfaces like the couch and the side table you see in this video. I go through boxes one by one, picking up items individually. Some containers only hold a few items, but the box takes up a lot of space. So just grouping those items together into larger categories helps eliminate the box entirely. At this stage, I focus on pulling out anything that doesn't belong in this room. Most of it gets relocated, which immediately opens up the space. For example, I have here items that go to the kitchen, items that go to the walk-in closet, items that go to the home office, and so on. What's left in this room are these simple categories like items that need review, keep items we've already decided on, and empty containers we'll reuse for donations or sorting. And this is important. To save time, I do not sort the items that go to another room. I only group them together. I sort them once they reach their destination. Right now, the only goal I have is to clear out the space as fast as I can, making sure nothing gets accidentally discarded or is misplaced. And once again, keep items went against the wall, and anything else that needed review went on the couch. I added post-its to label what each box contained and marked some as homework for the client to go through between sessions. Ideally, we want to have here in the house about 3 to 5 bags, no more than that. And the rest of them can either go into the basement, in the long-term storage, or be donated. So we need to go through that again, but there are some tough decisions we need to make. Also for today's session, want to say hi?
Yeah.
Hi! For today's session, we are also going to tackle pile of keep items that were taken from that room that we were just in, and we are going to put them back to the places where we've already created in the closets that we've already organized for the home. And we are very ambitious for today. We are also going to empty this closet. Look at this baby. So we're gonna sort through things and make some fast decisions today. And the goal for today is not to have this organized, is to have it emptied. So everything out of here, to figure out how much linen we have, how many towels, how many bathroom rugs, things like that. This is what we're gonna keep here. Comforters, and all that stuff. So we need to see how much we have in order to decide what we keep and how much we keep. All right, we're gonna go back to work. This was session 3, focused on tying up the loose ends in the guest bedroom. As I said, this was a hybrid, a sort of transition session where we moved from one area to the other. You see Stephanie here cleaning up this organizer. We didn't end up using this one in this room, but we knew we needed it in the walk-in closet that was up next on our organizing list. So we prepped that ahead of time. During this type of session, the client doesn't directly work with us, but they check in with us from time to time to track progress. This is also when Stephanie and I split up to cover more ground. I focused on sorting and finding homes for the items we removed from the room, so I wasn't here most of the time. And Stephanie stayed in the room to clean up and organize the few items that actually remained in the closet. This is so funny because aside from the travel bags we placed on the wire rack, there was only one box left for her to organize. Just one box that stayed in the room. It's always so surprising to see how little we actually need compared to how much we accumulate over time. We spent about 30 minutes in this room and another hour organizing items we removed from this room and taken to the home office, the primary bedroom, and the kitchen. The rest of the time was spent emptying the linen closet, as I mentioned earlier. And if you'd like to see that transformation, there's a link somewhere on the screen and in the description below. Altogether, this session we spent about 4 hours of very intentional, well-planned work. And just like that, here's the before as a refresher, and here's the after. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. If you've learned something new, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps our very small channel grow.